What is going on YouTube? Welcome back to Living Life Fast. Today, we're finally, sorry mate, today we are going for the first drive in the C63. First thing we've got to do is fill up fuel in this car because that is what you do when you own a Mercedes C63. The tank is always empty. Obviously, you know that you can win this car at LLF Games for £11.99. The competition ends in around 4 or 5 days, so you still have a chance to win this car. But as I said, we're gonna go for a first little drive, give you my first impressions. For any of the COVID-19 guys, we're only popping to the shop to get some milk and biscuits and I don't know, whatever it is you get from the shop. And then we're gonna go back home. So yeah, enjoy the video. Before we get into it, please subscribe to my channel and make sure bell notifications are set to all so you're notified the second I release a video. Right, so firstly, this car does have a ghost immobilizer, so yes, whoever wins this car, it's going to be extremely annoying trying to start this car every day. Right, so Mercedes C63, and for some of you that don't know, I'm actually a big fan of Mercedes cars, especially this C63. Like, obviously you had the competition like the E92 M3, the B7 RS4. I love all three of them cars, but the C63, it's actually a car that I owned technically for about 5 minutes. If you remember, I used to own a GTR before the one I own now. It was a 59 plate. So what actually happened was, I drove home in a C63 coupe, and this is the God's honest truth. I pulled up at home, looked at the car, and I was like, nah. I feel it's one of them cars that used to draw too many green eyes. Like, there's a lot of envy. A lot of people used to love this car. Like, this was the dream car for a lot of people. It was just so aggressive looking. And I genuinely, within 5 minutes, I rang my mate, and I was like, because it was a friend that I bought the car from. I was like, look, I can't take the car, man. And I actually went back and swapped it for a GTR. Some of you might be like, well, a GTR is a more expensive car, but it's not the same image, man. Like the C63 was magnetite black or something like that. Black wheels, it was a coupe, red leathers. Oh, it was such a beautiful car. But like I say, I did go to own one of these cars at one stage. I don't know the technicalities with these bike riders, but look what they're doing. They're both riding side by side on a road like they own it. Is this normal behavior, people? Naturally, that just really annoys me, but maybe I'm wrong. Fucking God. So it's got a 6.2 litre naturally aspirated V8 engine, and let me tell you, this thing sounds like hell. It's very well insulated in this car. It does have a secondary decap. Let me give you a little sample. So we put it in Sport Plus. Man, it sounds so sick. Straight. And this car is running a couple of modifications, by the way. It's got a stage 1 MSL tune. So these run around 451 bhp in stock form. With the MSL tune, it brings power to around 513 horsepower. These cars did come with a performance pack, which raised power to around, I think it was around 480. You had bigger front brakes, you had a carbon rear spoiler, also came with a limited slip diff, and it had parts of the engine replaced with SLS AMG parts. My God. Makes its max power around 6,800 RPM. And what I find so amazing about this engine is it makes 440 foot-pounds of torque. Like, when you compare it to the E92 M3, which is the same generation as this car, that car only made 295 foot-pounds of torque. This one made 440. What the 140 extra foot-pounds of torque. That is why this car is so much quicker. Obviously the M3 on track was a different kettle of fish. But look, traction, let it go there. Definitely got to be a little bit careful when pushing the Mercedes because you don't have as much feedback from the steering wheel, which means that, I wouldn't say it gives you a false sense of confidence, but when it does slip, you just got to be a little bit more on guard, man. Like, whereas when you drive the M cars, they give a bit more natural feedback. But another thing I've not mentioned is this car does have an upgraded limited slip diff done by Wavetrack, so I'm sure that those mods would have been done also at MSL. Oh, we've got an M3 there, saloon. Nice. Yeah, I think it's definitely a must-have mod because these cars spin up like crazy. Even now, I can feel it trying to break traction. Obviously, traction control's helping me out. So So this is the 3rd generation of C-Class, and it's also a car that they built from the ground up. Unlike the previous gen C-Class AMGs, they were sort of like a bolt-on job. This was like, this car had a lot more thought put into it. It was definitely the most dynamic Mercedes they built at the time. And you can feel it, it's a very agile car, feels very M-like. Comes with a 7-speed automatic gearbox, so you actually comes with these 4 shift settings down here. I'll try to get a cutaway. You've got Comfort Sport, Sport Plus and M. You've got a full manual mode, so you can actually use the paddles. And what you find in a lot of modern cars is when you actually try to use manual mode, it still automatically shifts. With this, look, now we've got it in manual, it'll bang off the limiter. I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, it's not DCT fast, but fast enough. And now we've got traction off. Oh, Jesus. Wow. But guys, the steering feel on this, it feels so nice, man. Second, it comes up a big upshift on the speedo. Yeah, you gotta be careful, man. It's got the LSD. Gear shifts are pretty fast as well. Wow, see, look, now traction off. I feel like I'm actually driving the car now. Flat. Very well insulated cabin. Like the sound, I know that sounds like hell outside, but from in here, that sounds too bad. Let's take a right. Wow. Jesus, I did not even put my foot down. It just slid out. Like, that woman was looking at me like, what are you doing? I'd love to know what kind of torque is running after the MSR tune. I did mention 513 horsepower now. But look, second gear. Wow. Such a responsive throttle. You cannot beat a naturally aspirated, especially V8 engine. Let me tell you, with the 507 style alloys, this car is one of the most beautiful looking things on the road. I am, as I say, a big fan of this car, man. If you're not as experienced with rear-wheel drive cars, you're probably better off driving the car without an LSD, because actually what happens is the car just tends to spin on the spot. It doesn't lock up and send you into a slide, whereas with an LSD, it will lock up and put you into a perfect power slide. I'm not gonna lie to you, when I first got into this car, it felt slightly broken, as in it just felt like there was no low down torque. But now I've stopped driving like the M5 and the Hellcat. You know, you gotta remember, this is naturally aspirated. There's no turbocharger, there's no supercharger, so it's just real naturally aspirated. You gotta rev the car up. Although it does build its maximum torque at 5,000 RPM, it's pretty damn good for an NA car, man. But yeah, sorry guys, I am waffling a bit. I'm usually a little bit more prepared. But yeah, she is heavy. What was that, an RS4? No, it's got RS4 mirrors. One thing to note is she's very heavy, so depending on how you spec them, they're from 1650 to 1750 kilos. So yeah, definitely not the lightest car. But you have to be careful with this car, man. It's just the feedback, like it can slide from under you, I feel, without you knowing. With traction on, you're not really gonna have issues, but sorry to bring up the M3 again. I just feel that with the M3, before they slide, they let you know, so you kind of already know to correct it before it slides. I mean, I'm not trying to say this car, it's not that bad. And moving on to the seats, let me tell you, these are some of the best you can get in the cabin, period. Like, they actually remind me of the E36 M3, the Vadar seats. Not quite the same, but I just think they're really nice to look at. They're really nice to sit in. They're really supportive. After jumping out of my Evo and into this car, it feels like I'm jumped into a racing car. Wow, that sounds crazy. I don't even know if you lot are picking up the sounds, man. But yeah, 0 to 60 was in around 4.4 seconds. I think a few journalists tested it at the time. Top speed was 155 miles per hour, but let me tell you, these cars can do well over 180, even in stock form, let alone with a stage 1 tune. This car will probably head on over to 200 miles per hour. Quarter mile was around 12.5 seconds, but you know, you need optimum conditions to put down fast times in these cars. Oh, what? But yeah, in general, these cars were very reliable. The introduction models, like the 59 plates, there was a few small niggles with them, but in the facelifts, they were all ironed out, and they are, as I say, very reliable cars. They are hassle-free. As you can imagine, it's a Mercedes, so you know, parts are going to be a little bit expensive. I love the fact that my cars are no longer parked up outside my house, and what that means is, I get into a car like this now, I can actually feel the speed. So yeah, remember guys, you can win this C63 Amg for just £11.99. But there should be just over 1,000 entries left. Ticket link will be in the description. So yeah, we'll see you soon.